Guys, welcome back to Between the Ropes TV. As always, before we jump into the video today, make sure to smash that like button and also subscribe to the channel. Guys, we're going to be talking about the big fight at the weekend. Obviously, Terence Crawford coming in against Porter. It's going to be a big fight, isn't it? And, you know, it's no surprise that Crawford is looking a heavy favourite at the moment. Three-time world champion, undefeated, across a career that's now, I think, longer than 12 years going. So there's no surprise there that the bookies, they are favouring him as the favourite. Ben, this is going to be a bit of an interesting fight, though, isn't it, for me? I think, I think it's one of those, people will write off Porter because of the 3 losses on his record. I think you've got to look at who those losses are against, though. I mean, Kell Brook being one of them. And, the other coming against the man that people are probably hoping Crawford fights next if he does get past Porter in Errol Spence Jr. How do you see this one going?
Well, to be honest, let's pick up a few things you've just said. With Crawford being heavy favourite, yes, he is. And I do see him picking up the victory again. But this is by far the hardest fight for me. You look at his resume and I'm not that impressed by Crawford's resume. That's nothing against his boxing ability because he's a top boxer. That's why he's in the top 5 of the pound for pound. He's just a great operator. But Porter has a better resume. Yes, he lost to Khan Brook. But that was a prime Kell Brook. And I honestly think Shawn Porter's going to drag Crawford into an absolute dogfight. And Crawford's never been in with someone like that. And Joe, I'm really excited for it. I think it's going to be a really good fight.
I mean, obviously, I've got to throw this straight back at you, Ben, because obviously, we know Crawford actually did get the win against Kell Brook. That was in his last fight. That's something Porter hasn't done. But is that a case for you that Kell Brook was maybe a bit more past it at that stage in his career and didn't face the best Kell Brook?
Well, I think it's the inactivity of Kell Brook, and it's like he struggled to get a proper run, didn't he? Like when his losses started coming to top operators. Don't get me wrong, he's only lost to good fighters like Errol Spence, Golovkin. But he came back with those fights, and I don't know. I'm not seeing the same Brook, and I think that's why people also aren't seeing the same Khan that Crawford beat, and that's why that fight people aren't too happy. Some are happy, but that, like you always say, that is another video.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you mentioned there inactivity, isn't it? And I think that's something that's probably present with both of these. It'll be a year and 6 days since Crawford has last fought. Porter even longer. I believe it'll be a year and 3 months since his last fight. Do you think the inactivity could perhaps make this a bit of a slow start and we could see the fighters needing the first few rounds to actually get into it and hopefully a bit more of a spectacle come in the mid to later rounds? Or do you fancy one of them just to go right out the block straight at it?
Honestly, I don't think it'll be an issue because if you look at both of these fighters' careers, they have long spells of inactivity. And it is just the way their career's gone. Like, I think it's since 2018, I think it is. No, sorry, November 2017, Porter's fought 6 times. So he's fought 6 times in 4 years. That's not a lot for a boxer at the top, but he always performs, and his resume, like I've already alluded to, it's got some amazing names on there in the welterweight division, and he's an ex-2-time world champion. And Crawford the same. They have long periods out, and it doesn't faze them. That is just the way they work. Whether they're at the gym every day, still keeping fit. But like you look at the weekend, Terry Harper, for me, the inactivity hurt her. But in this fight, it's not going to be an issue. I think they'll still go in there like they would any other fight. If anything, maybe being less active works more for them. If they fought more, you might not get the same one. You don't know. They obviously do what's best for them. And I think because of the inactivity, I'm still looking forward to it.
I really am. And I think it's an interesting one, isn't it? As I've alluded to, Porter's record doesn't perhaps look as bad as some would go, oh, well, he's lost 3 times. I mean, the other person we didn't speak about was Furman, who, of course, only losses came recently, actually, to Manny. Well, it came in his last fight to Manny Pacquiao. So he's lost to opponents, yes, but they've all been top rank, the top rank individuals that he's lost to. One thing that is going to go against him, though, and I think, is the fact that he is an inch smaller, but it's also It's a 4.5-inch shorter reach. I did have to look there to make sure I got that fully correct. 4.5-inch shorter reach than Crawford. Do you think that's going to be quite a big factor, considering, that obviously it is for the world welterweight title?
Yeah, I think when it comes to Crawford, he's a great boxer, and the way he just switches from orthodox to southpaw stances, it's effortlessly, and he just, as easy as you like. You don't know what you're going to get with him. And I think that reach, he also uses that to his advantage. And he's a tricky opponent, but he's also got power, hasn't he? And like you say,
yes,
with the reach,
he has. And I think his resume says that, doesn't it? 37 wins or no losses, and 28 of those coming by KOs. When you actually look at the fact that he's he's gone across welterweight, lightweight, and then obviously light welterweight. I mean, to have that kind of resume at those weights and to have that impressive KOs, it's not something you usually see. And I think, especially coming into this title defense, I think he will be the heavy favorite. And I think it's probably one of those where myself, I'm probably backing him to get the win. How are you viewing it yourself?
I'm backing Crawford. I think it's gonna be harder than he's ever had before. I think he's gonna have to dig deep, but I think it'll be a points victory. I think he'll have to learn to really scrap at times. And I think Porter's just going to go for a war, and that's what we all want to see, though. But I think it'll go the distance, and I do reckon Crawford will pick it up. What do you think? How's it going to end if you think Crawford?
I think it's going to be the same. I think it'll be a points victory. I'm going to call a unanimous decision as well. I think it'll be maybe 2 or 3 rounds. Or possibly more. I don't think it'll be a necessarily close points victory either. Maybe, Crawford is what he is, though. He's an absolute animal. But there is the big question, isn't there? And I think people have wanted to see this fight. Surely after this, if Crawford gets through this, the next fight surely has to be Errol Spence Jr., doesn't it?
I hope so. For me, that is one of the biggest fights you can get today. It's just, they're both brilliant fighters. They'll both be unbeaten. They're both multiple weight world champions. And I just Errol Spence, I just worry about the eye. I'm not sure if we know the full story. We've fallen out of Pacquiao. But if we've got a fully fit Errol Spence, my money's on him taking the victory.
I mean, that's definitely for another day, isn't it? I'm gonna reserve judgment at the moment. I'm gonna wait to see what I see at the weekend from Crawford. I think there's a lot of buzz circulating around him for good reasons as well. But as we saw from the boxing last weekend, there's been some shocks, hasn't there? There has been some shocks, especially throughout the whole year of boxing as boxing's returned. So,
and it takes one shot.
I won't fully write off Porter.
No, but in boxing, it only takes one shot, doesn't it? Anyone can be caught, and then it's game over. So I think sometimes when you are fighting the better boxer, that's not a bad game plan to go for. But I'm just hoping for an exciting war.
And I think it is, you've alluded to it earlier on, the unpredictability of Crawford. I mean, naturally he's a southpaw fighter, isn't he? But he just switches between the two stance. I think that could really help him towards that points victory. I think it will also help him to mix it up. So obviously Porter doesn't have that read of him, which I think it will be something that will really help him. Guys, it is the massive fight. I think it's probably one of the biggest fights of the year. And it's going to be a real interesting one. So make sure to let us know in the comments below. Who are you backing? Are you backing Porter to maybe pull off an upset? Or is Crawford, the heavy favourite, going to get the win? And don't forget, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And I'm sure we'll be doing a reaction to this. So we shall see you on the reaction if we don't see you before.
Cheers.